Hey, you awesome listeners, welcome to yet another episode of the Career Talk Show podcast. So, the guest with me today, she's an HR, obviously, and she is the one who can help you to prepare yourself for the next job interview that you're planning for. Now, before introducing her or before letting her speak, I want to tell you that she has interviewed more than 1,500 candidates across all the levels, be it entry level, be it mid career, or be it leadership positions. So please help me invite Maneesha Bhat, who is the founder of the Career Skilling Academy. She's also on a mission to help 100,000 young aspiring job seekers live and lead a fulfilling career. So please help me invite Maneesha Bhat. Maneesha, welcome on the show and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rohit, for bringing me on board. It's an honor and pleasure to have me in your podcast. Thank you so much for
Thank
featuring.
you so much, Maneesha. I remember last year we were also planning for this interview, but we couldn't
Correct.
get this done.
Yeah, it's been a long time actually, and finally we get to do this. So, yeah, I'm
Yes,
super excited for this.
I'm excited too. So, Manisha, first of all, I would like to start with your journey, first of all, as how you started your career and what all challenges that you been through and what all you are doing right now. So, please help us know about you and let our audience know. Yeah, over to
Sure,
you.
sure. Thank you so much, Rohit. So, I'll start off when I completed my MBA, and then I was preparing for my UGC NET exams. I was basically, it was back in 2016. And then for almost 6 months or 7 months, I was continuously preparing for the exams. I also appeared for the exams, but I could not score. And I mean, there was just a gap of 2 marks that didn't let me basically go for the next
Hmm.
step. So I thought maybe let's not waste one more year and maybe I should opt in for the corporate journey. And then I moved out of the city and journey of a job hunt was not so easy for me
Hmm.
because I wanted to pursue something that was aligning with my goals and value system. However, I was not sure and I was not having the clarity as to what I actually wanted to pursue.
Right.
So, which is why I chose a job wherein I was working as a business consultant. That was in a Spanish based company back in 2016.
Hmm.
There I worked for 1.5 year. But while I was working there, I could sense that this is not something that I really wanted to do with my life. So because I have always been passionate about coaching, training industry, so I started to get coached by one of my mentors. I mean, I found mentors in the Delhi city.
Hmm.
So there I met several people and they walked me through the journey as to what can be done, what are the next steps that I can take. So that's how I figured out that HR is something that I can be passionate about because it's about interviewing candidates and helping them, to get the job that they desire. Why? Because career development was something that was really close to my heart because I invested years into the same particular domain and the
Hmm.
niche. So which is why I thought maybe HR is something that I can explore. And then within the same company, I was working on my own project. Plus, I was investing 3 to 4 hours extra with my HRBP and my HR, other domains within the HR itself. And for 6 7 years, I would say it was a vigorous learning and a journey. And finally, after that, when I felt that I am ready and now I can appear for the interviews, I was able to get interviewed in one of the top Fortune 500 companies wherein I was shortlisted, and that's how I got placed within the HR department. So that's how I transitioned from a non-HR background to an HR background.
Hmm.
And while being in the HR itself, I'll tell you for the fact that when I was not an HR and a candidate, I had a completely different perspective about the recruitment cycle and everything.
Hmm.
In comparison to while I was working within the industries, I was
Correct.
able to understand the pain points and what can be done from a candidate's perspective and basically the bridge that a candidate has to fill between the corporate requirement and the candidate skill
Correct.
set. So that's I mean I learned a lot during the interviews. I coached candidates and it was a phenomenal journey.
And
Yeah,
definitely we'll be exploring from you as what all can be done to improve the
definitely.
process of getting hired. So, Manisha, one thing that I would like to ask you, as you recently mentioned in your last answer, what was the event that triggered that? you are good at training or you are good at coaching, and what was the thing that was pushing you from inside that you should go in training industry? What was that thing?
So sometimes what happens, there are some things that are very obvious and maybe the universe is giving you signals, but you're not receptive or proactive, you're not open to receive those signals.
Hmm.
To be very honest, when I was, I think, in my second standard, I used to teach people. It's just that I was not aware of it, that that is something that I have been doing consistently. So I was in my schooling when I used to teach my cousins and my brother,
Hmm.
and that was something that I have been doing consistently. I would say it was not just within a flick that I got to know that I have an interest in coaching, although I have been doing this, since last 12 years or 14 years. But when I was interviewing these candidates, when I entered that HR industry, so I saw that the confidence in the candidates, it was something that was it was not firm. They were very shaky about their confidence, and they had that limiting belief that they will not be able to crack that interview. Why? Because there was some backstory in their mind, maybe because of their childhood trauma, or maybe someone told them that they will not be able to do much in their lives.
Correct.
So that is something that I was not feeling good about. Why? Because I genuinely wanted to help them.
Hmm.
I remember there was this candidate who was having a dyslexia issue, and he told me that, you know what, Manisha, I understand that you're helping me a lot, but I'm not sure if I will be able to crack this interview. So I told him why. Yes, when you are interviewing candidates, it does a wonderful magic for you, and which is you get to know candidates very deeply. Why? Because they will tell you that they can't do this. Then you will ask the next question, why? I mean, why do you think that way? Then he will answer, and then the other question. So that's how you get into the depth. So that's how, while interviewing these candidates, I figured out that, I actually wanted to help them get employed so that they can, make sure that their family's economic state is better, and they are, helping their families and themselves out. So I would say yes. So during the interview process itself, I got to know. I mean, the layers started to unfold, one by one for me, and that's how I figured out that coaching is something that I am really passionate about. Why? Because I like helping these students,
Hmm.
these candidates, to get employed and, get their dream placement.
Super, super. So, Manisha, mm, next question that I would like to ask you is, before entering into the HR industry all itself,
Mm-hmm.
what are the challenges or what are the thing that you are having before in your mind, and what after? Like, what are the difference that you saw in the HR industry before you entering into it, and then what are the things that you realized?
Sure. So, what I figured out that the reason why I was not able to, I mean, before I entered into HR industry, I realized that why is it that people are not able to basically get into a specific job? What is the, that star factor that is there, missing, and what can actually get them a job? See,
Hmm.
it's for me now, I feel that it's not just about getting that dream job and getting that dream package. It's about career, right? I see and understand it from that perspective. However, if you are planning to make a career, right, that means you are thinking about long term any which ways already. You're thinking that how can you scale your career, how can you make your career, and it has much more depth and value with regards to, a job.
Hmm.
When you're in a job or in a corporate, you can be a job hopper also. Maybe you're planning to leave within 1 year or 2 year, and that has nothing to do with the career. It's
Hmm.
I mean, these two things are completely different. And when I entered HR, I realized that, this job versus career thing is something that should be in the mind of a candidate, if whether I want to, get a job into HR or maybe finance or IT or whatever. So
Hmm.
there, that is the one thing. So second thing that is there is the profile optimization. While I entered into the HR domain, even while I was not being into the HR domain, I realized that, profile optimization is something that is really a pain point. And I'll tell you for the fact, because I have interviewed 1500 plus candidates. I would say I had the leverage to. So out of all these 1500 candidates, 70% of the candidates are not even aware of the profile optimization techniques. These are very simple techniques that you have to apply, use some keywords and do stuff. But not many people are aware of it.
Hmm.
Not many people, I mean, that is one change that I would like to bring in the world, that, when you're appearing for a job, at least for your own sake, you should read the job description.
Correct.
because right. So that is one thing that I realized. I mean, the biggest pain point was the profile optimization only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Manisha, what do you mean by profile optimization? Is it crafting the resume, or what exactly comes under profile optimization?
So profile optimization, see, optimization for the fact, I mean, optimization means making the best use of anything, right? Whether that's a platform or whether that's a tool or anything, right?
Correct.
And profile, a candidate is appearing for the interview, and what the HR's check is their profile, right? A profile can be his LinkedIn account, a profile can be his resume as well. So
Okay.
profile optimization in general means whatever he has to offer, whether that's LinkedIn profile or whether that's a resume, that should be optimized.
Hmm.
Optimized in the sense that it should be, ready. People, it should be in the manner that people can approach that candidate, because if he is not approachable, he will never be able to crack the job that he
Right.
desires.
Right. Okay. Got it. Got it. So Manisha, my next question is आपने profile automation के बारे में बात की. So next question is, what the biggest challenge, like people who are already into HR industry, what they are facing, and what was your biggest setback in as a HR, that you feel ki this is what I missed it, and this is what how I should have done this in that time. Anything that you can share?
Sure, sure. I mean, the setback that is there within the corporate, I would recommend is the, automations. So whenever a candidate appears for an interview, and we interview the candidate because it's a end-to-end recruitment cycle,
Hmm.
right? So he applies on a job portal, or maybe we send him some test and he has to appear for the test, and the process goes on, right?
Correct.
And then let's say for an example, at the end stage, if a candidate is not able to qualify the seventh round, or let's say the sixth round,
Hmm.
then I believe that there should be a system. I mean, the HRs, and for me also, I should have been able to build a system wherein an automatic feedback will reach to the candidate, because technically, because I was working in an MNC which was one of the top Fortune 500 companies. So for that company also, it was little bit difficult, I would say, to get back to every candidate, maybe on a call or an email, and tell them that they have not been shortlisted,
Hmm.
because obviously if you are shortlisted, they will make sure that you reach to the next level, and they will
Correct.
coordinate with you. However, if you have not qualified, what I believe a setback is there in the HR industry is the candidate feedback. He should be able to get the feedback that he has not qualified, and for what reasons. So that, why? Because when he will appear in the next round of interview, or maybe in the next company, he will know what are the loopholes, what is the gap that is there, and he will be able to fix that gap. So
Correct.
this is something that I personally feel that we should work upon it collectively.
Right. And I think this is one challenge that I also faced when I was back giving interviews and going to the companies. What used to happen was, I think this is the people of, like, this is a challenge of most of the candidates out there.
Correct.
They go to companies, they get interviewed, and after that they are not receiving any feedback. Even if they are asking, that there's nothing that HR is responding to. I think this is what needs to be done. This is what needs to be improved, from the HR point of view, right?
Especially, let's say for an example, there are 1,000 candidates, right, to which an HR has to respond to, or maybe 100 candidates to which each HR has to
Mm.
respond to. So for an, I mean, if I talk about from the HR's perspective, obviously it is not practically possible. So there should be some automation, or maybe a technology that can help the candidates automatically. There should be a trigger, right? A
Mm-hmm.
workflow that can help the candidates to know that they have not qualified. I mean,
Correct.
some companies are working on it, but I would say they are, I mean, some of them, I would say, already have this technology, but they only have the technology at the ATS level, which is
Correct.
basically at the first level. But what I personally feel is that even after fifth round or sixth round of interview, there should be some automation or maybe a technology which can help the candidate to basically understand and get the feedback automatically. There should be
Mm-hmm.
some trigger point that should be there that can help him to improve as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Manisha, you talked about ATS. What is that?
Mhm. So ATS basically is used by multinational companies. Majorly, it is a robust automation tool that scans the resume,
Mhm.
and the filtered resumes reach to the HR.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I think this will be very helpful for all the listeners who are listening to this and people who are
correct.
watching this. That your resume that you are sending to the companies on their email, hr@companyname.com, that resume is not delivered to the HR's email mailbox. Rather, it's passing to the ATS system. And if your resume or the CV is having the keywords,
Optimized, correct.
optimized keyword, then only it will be reaching to the mailbox of the HR, right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
kindly work on that if you want to get noticed or if you want to get hired in the next company to apply for. Okay. So Manisha, next question is, what is the biggest achievement that you feel or that you are super, super proud of as an HR?
All right. So, one thing that I mentioned earlier is that because not many people I have seen in my industry that they have that approach. I mean, usually HRs are majorly people call HRs a psychologist also because,
Yes.
like I said, they go deep into one question and
Correct.
then another because that's their job, right? To get to
Mm.
know what candidate is actually thinking subconsciously, it's their job because then only they will be able to save the cost of the company and do justice to the company and the candidate
Right.
as well. So what I feel personally is my biggest achievement is that to have that connection with the candidate.
Mm.
I'll tell you for the fact now that I have left my last company 2 months back, but I still receive messages from the candidates. Happy New Year, ma'am.
Okay.
Happy Diwali. How are you doing? And all that. So that connection is one word that I really felt, in line with why because a candidate was not just a candidate for me. He was a human
Mm.
and it he was a emotion for me because I always kept myself in the shoes of a candidate and felt that if he is looking for a job and this is something that he is not expert at and he should work on this thing, I would straightforward tell that candidate, you know what, you might feel that this is a little bit harsh from my side, but communication skills is something that you have to work upon, and if you want to scale your career, this is the area that you have to work upon. So not every HR will tell you this. Why? Because they feel that maybe candidate को बुरा लग जाएगा या something of that sort, right?
Correct.
But what I used to feel that in order for him to grow, he has to know the reality.
Right.
I know that it is little bit harsh, but he has to know the reality so that he can work. And you will not believe. I mean, the moment I started doing this because I felt that maybe I should because I felt that connection. Candidates used to come back to me and message me, "Hi, ma'am. We got placed because we worked on that skill. We took that course and all that." So that was something that I felt really, really proud of, and I felt that that connection and telling the truth on being authentic to my own self, so that I am able to deliver value to the candidate as well. That was something that I really loved about myself.
Amazing, amazing. And I think if a true feedback is given to the candidate, and if they're willing to work upon that feedback,
Correct.
then definitely a lot of things can be changed.
Definitely.
Right. So, Manisha, next question is all about this thing. You also mentioned about communication skills, but we'll talk about that later on as a part of
Sure.
this interview. Right now, the thing or the question that I have for you is, there are some certain people who want to become an HR.
Hmm.
Now, there could be 100 reasons why they want to do that, but what all tips would you give or what all suggestion would you advise for the people who are just maybe in the college or who are just looking out for the HR career as an
Mm-hmm.
HR? So, what all advices would you suggest to those people? Any specific thing that they should learn
Sure.
before entering into the corporate world as an HR, or what all would you advise, or what all would you suggest?
So what I personally feel is that whether you are going for an HR domain or maybe finance domain or IT domain,
Mm.
rather than just jumping into the domain just for the sake of that shiny object syndrome, what I personally feel and what I have experienced is that you should first of all check the syllabi of that particular domain.
Mm.
By syllabi, what I mean is that when you are in that particular domain, the work that they have to do, you should know what is the work that they will be doing, right? By that I mean they should have the role clarity. So if they are going to work in an HR domain, HR has close to maybe 30 to 40 subdomains that it has to offer, right? It can be legal, it can be related to
Correct.
recruitment, L&D, BP, anything of that sort. So in HR, what is it that you want to do? If we would go micro niche, and then if in that micro niche we should know that what is the kind of work that I will be performing, because if you would know कि मुझे क्या काम करना है, then only आपको लगेगा कि if you want to actually pursue that work or not.
It will
right?
more of a clarity अगर मेरे पास रहेगा तो it would be much better.
करेक्ट 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 सो रोल क्लैरिटी होना इज एक्सट्रीमली एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि उस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन में आपको क्या काम करना है. बिकॉज इफ यू वुड नो कि क्या काम करना है, देन ओनली यू विल गेट टू नो, यू विल बी मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड कि अच्छा दिस इज द वर्क दैट आई हैव टू डू, एंड येस आई विल बी प्रीटी मच कंफर्टेबल विद इट,
Hmm.
right? Because I think many candidates who come with some expectation, and then they feel that I was expecting something else, however the work that is there is something else, so you will not be satisfied as a candidate. Why? Because obviously expectation setting was different, and now that you are not happy, the only thing that will be there in your mind is that you want to leave the company as soon as possible. So that is your fault and your wastage of time as well, and the company's it is at the company's cost as well. So
Correct.
that is the first thing, right? So if
Having the
you want
clarity.
to, let's say, go into the having the clarity, correct. And second thing I would like to highlight here, if you want to look into the go into the HR domain, is that now the HRs are also applying creative hiring techniques. So
Hmm.
whatever technology that is there, whatever the new ways that the HR is opting for, I would recommend to do a little research on that, because you would get to know what is happening in the market right now. What are
Mhm.
the approaches that the HR is taking into consideration.
Okay.
So that is the second thing, I would like to highlight. And I think third one obviously is the profile optimization. If you want to get into the HR domain, let's say HR VP, business partner. So what is the business partner HR actually doing? And to have that into consideration, we should know कि उसमें काम क्या करना पड़ता है, and will I be comfortable with it, and how can I polish my profile to crack that particular job.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's about it. And fourth one will be building connections. Obviously, if you want to get into the HR, build as many connections as you can on LinkedIn or maybe other social media platforms with the other HRs as well.
Any specific strategy that you would advise to them or suggest to them to build connections?
So when we send, I mean, you can easily go to LinkedIn and then search for different HRs in particular, markets that you want to target. So first is obviously to send them a connect request, and while you're sending them the connect request, do not just click on connect and हाँ चलो हो गया खत्म काम खत्म.
Correct.
Make sure कि उसमें at least just written a message that I liked your profile, something, there should be something that is appreciative of them. Otherwise, why would anyone even care,
Hmm.
right? So you have to show that compassion and use that emotional intelligence to connect with them, and then slowly you can build your rapport with them. Have a conversation, or maybe call them up for tea or something of that sort.
Absolutely right. And I think this candidate needs to learn this thing as how to use LinkedIn effectively, because what happens is
Absolutely.
even, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear
Yeah,
you loud and clear.
it happens that people like students, maybe someone has recommended to them that use LinkedIn. They go on LinkedIn, they create a profile just like a profile on Facebook. Maybe they're using some different, I'll say, profile pictures, and like they're not optimizing the profile as such, and then they are just sending the request to like connect that. But if they can make it little personalized, as what you mentioned
Correct.
in your answer, that if you can make it a little personalized, then it will be much better to connect with that person and to have an interaction with. So I think
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
a lot of things. Yes.
You use the right word. That personalized message should be there. That should touch my heart or feel as if that he has. I mean, this is something that he has noticed about me. उसने मेरे बारे में ये notice किया है, and why not? I would love to connect with him.
Hmm.
So वो चीज definitely उसमें आनी चाहिए. That personalized message should be there.
And to you, the one who is listening to this podcast or this interview, I would say don't just make a template out of it. That you just make a template of reaching out to people and you are just changing the name. Go and visit the profile of the person, see what all
Absolutely.
things they are doing, and what all activity they are just posting or maybe having on LinkedIn. Appreciate what you liked and just have a normal conversation. There's nothing that
Correct.
you should create a template and just change the name and just reaching out to like thousands of people every single day.
Correct,
That should
correct.
not be
See,
there.
yes, why? Because see, everyone has their own personality, right? You have a different persona, and I have a different persona.
Correct.
And we cannot just copy paste the same template to everyone, because
Hmm.
everyone has their own forte and area of expertise. So for that, personalization to come into picture, you should obviously use not a template, but yes, you should use a message of that with personal touch that should actually reach to their hearts.
Definitely. A great tip to learn, I'll say, for all the candidates. Now,
Definitely.
Manisha, coming back to what I mentioned earlier, communication skills, आपने उसके बारे में बात की. So, there is this thing in the mind of students who came from tier 3 colleges that I'm not having good communication skill.
Hmm.
I'm not able to represent myself in front of people. I will not be able to crack the interview due to just my communication. I'm good at technical, but I'm not
Hmm.
good at soft skills, maybe communication skills to be specific. How much percentage of role I'll say communication plays in the interview? And is communication is all about English language, or what all do you look for as an HR in the candidate as when it comes to communication skills?
Sure. This is the most common question asked by most of the candidates also. So for me personally, communication is not about any language as such. It's not English, Hindi, Bengali, or
Hmm.
any other language. It's communication is having that capability to make sure that your message is sent from sender to receiver,
Hmm.
whether that's in English language or maybe Hindi language or some other language. English speaking is a completely different ball game. However, communication skills is different. However, I would say in some organizations they are looking for candidates who can speak in English. Why? Because it majorly depends upon the job role that you're looking into. Let's
Hmm.
say you're someone who is into project management and you have to speak with the clients very often, or you're someone who is into HR domain and you have to speak with the clients very often. Then for you, maybe the thing is that your clients may be in a foreign state, right?
Hmm.
So in those roles, obviously, English will be something that will be given much
Difference.
weightage. Why? Because you have to speak with the foreign clients,
Hmm.
and they will obviously not understand Hindi, right? So
Yes.
it depends. Majorly, it depends upon the role that you will be hired for. So for that matter, you have to think कि जिस रोल के लिए मैं अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ उसमें मेरे को इंग्लिश ज़रूरी है या नहीं है.
Hmm. Correct.
And it is not necessary that you have to speak in English, like you should have excellent English speaking skills will be the right word.
Hmm.
Why? Because if you would ask me, in IT there are many employees who cannot even speak the average English,
Correct.
right? So it completely depends on you, if I mean upon you and the role as well, that which role are you looking for, and what is it that you want to pursue as an employment.
Hmm.
But I would, for me personally, I would recommend that people who are thinking that English is something that they are not good at, and because of which they are not able to get jobs, this is again a limiting belief. Why? Because it's again in your mental space that you think you're only sending the message yourself that because of English I'm not able to do this, right? So this is again the subconscious thing, and if you really want to learn English, there is nothing as impossible in the world. So that is one message that I want to share. So
Correct.
I right. So I
No.
would I think we should remove that limiting belief, and if there is actually something that we have to do, let's say you really want to go into the role wherein English is mandatory, and you come from a space wherein you are not good in English. So first of all, remove that limiting belief and that mental blockage, and then you will be able to get through. There is nothing as impossible in the world.
Correct. Right. Got it. Now, even if there's some candidate who is having this roadblock, or I'll say the career block, I'll say, because this communication skill thing in their head is maybe they're stopping themselves from growth. I'll say. Now, even if you're feeling that thing कि यार मेरी communication skill इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, I should not be giving interviews, मैं अपने आप को कैसे बोलूंगा, कैसे समझाऊंगा सामने वाले पर्सन को. If that is the case, if you don't know anything in English, you are not good at it, I think spend some time and then appear for the interviews.
Correct. Practice.
But if you just start chasing the perfection mode, perfection तो कभी आएगी नहीं ना यार.
I'll tell you for the fact I was a big time perfectionist. I mean, last year I'll tell you, when I was recording the videos, because I have my own career scaling
Hmm.
academy. So for that matter, I used to record videos and courses. Uh, I was a big time perfectionist. जब तक वीडियो में पूरा 100% satisfaction नहीं आता था ना, I will record it again and again and again. I mean, I think I recorded one video 7 to 8 times, and then I thought, Manisha,
Oh.
what are you doing, right? I mean, this 1.5 hour video you're recording again and again, you're just burning yourself out. ऐसे तो you will not be able to reach any destination. See, now what I feel is that, if I'm a driver and I have to drive a car, I know that I have to go from point A to point B. I would obviously know where do I have to go, but I would not know what are the things that will be there within the journey, right? What
Correct.
are the things that will, what are the barriers, what are the positive things that will appear within that road, within that
Hmm.
journey. So for me, I just have to keep driving. I just have to take that one step ahead. That is my work, and that is all I have to do, and that is something that I have inculcated in my life. पूरा जर्नी का मैं सोचते रहूंगी, आई विल ऑब्वियसली प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट एंड नॉट डू एनीथिंग एट ऑल. आई
Correct.
विल नॉट ड्रॉप द परफेक्शन, और उस चीज में आई गो इनटू एनालिसिस पैरालिसिस मोड, एंड देन दैट एक्चुअली ब्रिंग्स इन एक्शन. सो
And this
दैट
is
इज.
where this is where people start having saying that I'm not productive, I'm procrastinating, I'm delaying
Absolutely.
things, and wo, just because of that your one inaction, one limiting belief, everything is turning against you.
Correct, correct, correct. Absolutely, absolutely.
And see, people say practice makes a man perfect, but there's nothing called perfection. Even Gol Gopardas, I was listening to him one day, and he was saying practice doesn't make anyone perfect. Practice always and always makes improvement.
Awesome. Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree to it.
Because once you are practicing, you are evolving, you are improving yourself, be it any skill. It's not just about communication, be it any skill that you take, be it tech skill or be it any soft skill. There's nothing called perfection, I'll say, because
If we are
perfection,
perfect, I think then we will be gods, definitely, which
yes.
we cannot be. Right? So, I mean, that thought should never have appeared in our heads at the
Yes,
first place.
correct, correct. I hope this will help a lot of candidates out there who are listening to this.
Definitely.
Okay, Manisha, the first question in every single interview that is asked is tell me something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any template or do you have any framework to answer this question specifically for the person who is first handly appearing for the first interview?
Mm-hmm. Not as a template, I would say, but definitely that this question for me, I never ask this question to a candidate. I'll tell you why. Because in my own experience, everyone that I have interviewed, I mean, not everyone, I would say, most of the candidates that I have interviewed,
Hmm.
they used to, I think learn or cram the definition, 5 sentence
Ah,
definition from the Google and come to me and repeat the sentence. So in my HR journey, after I believe 4 or 5 months, I stopped asking this question. Why? Because I was actually bored with the same answer. So I thought, let's do one thing, Manisha. ये question पूछ ही मत,
ah,
right? Start with some other question. Like what I felt, and I asked the question to the candidate was, what is your day-to-day activity like? What do you do in a routine? What does a rainy day look like to you? Because then I am asking that question, and the candidate will be going into that critical thinking mode. He
thinking
will be
mode, yes.
thinking, right? And that's what I want the candidate to reflect back on himself and then answer question. That question. I don't. I mean, it is not necessarily if I'm asking you a question and you just have to, you can take your
Hmm.
pause, you can take a minute or
Correct.
two, think about it, and then come back to me. So when anyone asks this question, tell me something about yourself. What I would recommend candidates to not do is not basically go into this mode, basically that
Framing,
my
yeah.
name is Manisha, I have done this, I did this, I studied from here, I'm working here, because that is very basic question, that basic answer that everyone is giving.
Hmm.
Rather than that, not a template, you can frame your own answer, but you should come up with something creative, that maybe quantify something, that in my last organization I was able to make a help the company to increase the revenue by this X,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
cut down the cost by this X. So when you
Correct.
are quantifying and when you are using that as a leverage, then obviously in your elevator pitch, I call this tell me something about yourself as an elevator pitch, right?
Correct.
And this is my own thing. So in that 60 seconds time, you should be able to frame yourself in the manner that within that 60 seconds he will be convinced,
Hmm.
right? So come up with something creatively based upon what you have done in the past achievement, and what is it that you do apart from your work experience.
Correct.
What are your hobbies? Because your habits and your hobbies talk a lot about your character, So that is something that a candidate, an HR wants to know about you.
Hmm.
So include hobbies, quantify your past achievements, and come up with something that is really, really, creative. That's my personal take on this.
ना एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली बिल्कुल राइट है. एंड इवन एडिंग टू व्हाट यू जस्ट सेड, क्वांटिफाई अगर हम करें तो द मोर नंबर्स यू हैव ऑन योर रिज्यूमे और द सीवी दैट यू आर हैविंग, जो भी
Mhm.
आपका पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस है, इफ यू आर
Correct.
हैविंग मोर नंबर्स टू शोकेस एज एन की you have done this much, you resulted in this thing, that gives a better perspective to the other person or the hiring person who is interviewing you कि this person has something जो इसने किया है and which is giving results to the previous company that he is working in.
Absolutely.
This gives a much better, I'll say, confidence to the other person कि I should consider this person on priority basis as compared
Correct,
to all the
correct.
100 candidates out there.
That's how I mean, if you're able to quantify that, then ultimately it will lead to another question, why should I hire you? So
Hmm.
वो why should I hire you का आंसर आपने पहले में ही दे दिया. Maybe
Correct.
she will not even ask you the question, right? Because you've already differentiated yourself from others.
Correct. Now, Manisha, just thinking about this question only. Now, there would be some candidates out there who are listening to this, might think कि यार हमारे पास तो experience है ही नहीं. We'll be
Hmm.
appearing for the interview the first time. So
Mhm.
हमारे पास क्या है quantify करने का? So what would you say?
So, what I would recommend, if not an experience, you would definitely have done internships.
Hmm.
If not internships, you would definitely have participated in some activities in your university or maybe in your college. So, use that as leverage. Because, like my mentor says, how you do anything is how you do everything,
Correct.
right? So, if you are able to leverage that, whatever you have done, sometimes we feel that, oh, I'm a fresher, मैंने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं है, मैं क्या बोलूँगा इंटरव्यू में.
Hmm.
But there are some hidden things that you are not able to see. I'll tell you, when I was doing my MBA, I think I've posted this on Instagram as well.
Okay.
So we were on a trek actually, and I was the one among 50 students, I believe, who reached to the top of the mountain,
Okay.
and I achieved the height of 12,500 feet.
Great.
To me, at that point of time, it was not even an achievement, or maybe I just never took that into consideration. But I think a month before, when I was looking at it, I felt, oh, I got my God. I mean, if I could reach to the top of the mountain when I felt that I could not even climb a hill,
Hmm.
and I reached to the top of the mountain out of 50, 50 friends that I had within the university. And I think there were only 2-3 people who were
Great.
able to reach to that peak, right?
Super.
So, right. So, I mean, these are very small things that add to your credibility. अगर आप पहाड़ चढ़ सकते हो तो आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो, because it also requires a lot of mental conditioning and that
Correct.
mental space, right? So there are some things that are there, whether you have done that in your school or maybe college or university. You just have to think big, sit, relax, and just think about it. Ultimately कुछ ना कुछ निकल के तो जरूर आएगा.
Correct. And also, what I would recommend to the listeners if you are preparing for any interview is don't duplicate the copy of your friend's resume.
Never ever do that.
Never do that.
Never
Because
do that. In fact, I think I've shared this story with you as well before, that once upon a time there were three friends back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So there were three friends who came for the interview. Interview was for basically they were BCom graduates and they wanted to proceed further with the finance and accounting domain as a general accounting specialist. So I just checked one resume. Okay, I went through it, da, 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 and then the other resume and the third one. So resume भी साथ में रखा हुआ था.
हाँ.
So what I saw that all the three resumes were similar, same font, and to my surprise, father's name was also same. So I बोलते हैं ना, नकल के लिए भी अक्कल होनी चाहिए, right? So I was like, oh, okay, I see. I understand that the resume sample and the template is same, but at least पापा का नाम तो change करना चाहिए था. So you cannot copy someone's identity. It has to be your own. अगर initially you feel that it is not good, it's fine. At least it should be authentic, right? I mean, one value that I take in my life and I always imbibe, and I'm consistently working upon it, is authenticity. That
Hmm.
is the one word that I live by. And if you're able to create the resume in the manner that it, reflects your own identity, right? Then trust me, you will be far, far better from the others who will be just copying templates from Google or some other social media, some other browser. So it
Correct.
has to be you.
Definitely. And you said your last two words, be you. These were the two words which changed the trajectory of my life in 12th standard.
Oh, is it?
No, no, in first year of college, I'll say. There was this person whom I was like, there was this mentor of mine in college. So I just asked him, he was a good trainer. He was a corporate trainer. So he used to
Mm-hmm.
come into college and train us on personal development. So I was just asking this one day, sir, what is required to be successful in life?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking to him and he said, be you, and he left. Mm. I'm just thinking, be you?
क्या बोल दिया
That,
ये?
that time I didn't मतलब कि यार be you से successful कैसे होंगे?
Correct.
But now if I just reflect upon it, he said the right words in that time. And see, if you are a fresher and you are thinking यार मेरे पास कोई achievement नहीं है and I'm just starting out to my college, you have the time, start participating in every single activity that's happening in your college, start exploring. If not, you'll be gaining some quantified numbers, you'll gain some experience which will automatically, directly or indirectly, will enhance your skills. Be it public speaking, be it communication, be it leadership, be it team building, anything, you will enhance yourself. So start participating. Don't worry about anything.
And I'll tell you for the fact that now with the advent of technology, everyone is working from home. अब college आने की भी आपको, because let's say for an example, you're not able to quantify. There are n number of workshops, virtual events, webinars, that a candidate can appear into, and you can use that leverage. They're providing you certificates also, that
Correct.
certificate of participation or achievement.
Hmm.
तो वो भी you can use in your resume and you can leverage that as well.
Definitely, definitely. अब ये केस सी कोविड अभी लास्ट 2 साल से है एंड इट वॉन्ट बी देयर फॉर लाइफ टाइम.
Correct.
At some point of time, COVID will not be there. That time, let's leave it to that time. But abhi, if you are just attending colleges from home, सब चीज online है अभी. You are having time. You don't have to travel to anywhere. Start investing on yourself. अब
Correct.
इन्वेस्टमेंट का ये नहीं आप किसी कोर्स में एनरोल करो. There are hundred of things that are available for free. Start learning any technology. Start working on your skills. Start working on your English speaking. If specifically that is the challenge that you are having, and you can start following people who are posting good content on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and explore what all people are doing. uh, your life should not be Instagram से शुरू ही Instagram पे खत्म हुई. This is what's happening right now with majority of the people.
Yeah, there is a specific line. I mean, I watched that movie, I don't remember the name, that actually talked a lot about internet consumption and algorithm.
It was a
So
web
it
series on
said,
Netflix, I think.
which one?
It was a web series on Netflix.
Social, no, 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 no,
Social
the
dilemma.
social network. Yeah, correct.
Social dilemma, I think.
So, social dilemma or social network, I don't
हाँ.
remember. So, it said that, I mean, the people who actually worked in these companies, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or other social media platforms, they actually say that, at one point in life you should see that if you are your social media, I'm sorry, let me repeat again.
हाँ.
If so these people who are working in these companies, they actually said that, if you are using social media or social media is using you, you should think about that from that perspective कि आप उसको use कर रहे हो या वो आपको use कर रहे हैं, right? Because if you are unconsciously just scrolling on Instagram like anything for hours and hours, then obviously that tool is using you and you're not using that,
Correct.
because you don't have control over your actions. So that is something that I would really appreciate if people can focus on.
Correct. And see, tools were used to make use of it.
Correct.
Use of it in the right direction. Facebook was to connect with people. LinkedIn was to network with people. जो कि प्रोफेशनल कॉर्पोरेट इंडस्ट्री के अंदर है. People are using Instagram and YouTube सुबह like
Consumption.
I will say there are some people whom I know, their good morning starts with the Instagram. They're,
Okay.
they're just scrolling throughout the day. And I'm like, what's going on in your life apart from Instagram? There's nothing that you are doing.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
So we have to very, be very cautious about how we use our time, and then because only with the help of which we will be able to know, okay, what is our opportunity cost? What is it that we are at right now financially, you know? So that is something that should be taken into consideration.
Hmm. Okay, so right now we are talking about social media. So, Manisha, I'm having another question on it.
Mm-hmm.
How should people use social media right now for their careers?
Okay.
I'm
S-
I don't want to post content on Instagram. I'm not a content
Mm-hmm.
creator.
Mm-hmm.
However, I plan to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fresher candidate. I'm plan to do so कि मैं content create करूँ Instagram के ऊपर. I also want to be a famous. मेरे को भी followers चाहिए, ये सब चीज चाहिए. I want to make a career.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, how should I make use of social media? Be it Facebook, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, be it LinkedIn, or any social media platform that you talk about. As a candidate, as a professional, how should I use it?
So first is to understand what is your target market. Let's say you are someone who is a chartered accountant. Let's take
Hmm.
an example of a
Hmm.
chartered accountant, right? So for that matter, let's take an example of LinkedIn or maybe Instagram as well. So for that matter, if you know that you have done your CA and now you want to target the companies who are hiring chartered accountants, right? So for that, you have to do your research basically. Find the companies. You can just do it on Google as well, not necessarily on LinkedIn. You have to find the companies who actually hire CA freshers, let's say 2020 batch or 21, 22, right?
Hmm.
Not 22, 21 or maybe 22, 20. So first of all, you should know the companies का अगर हम list बना सकते हैं, right? Maybe 10 or 20 companies that these are the companies that I want to target. Then you have to start posting something. Like for an example, if you would have read something about financial let's say statement or maybe something related to finance,
Hmm.
then you have to, I mean, you can just begin at any level, just start posting one content at a time. Maybe you can post it within a week, one in a week as well, or maybe two in a week as well. So based upon the domain that you have, you should start posting content, whether that's Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn, because only then the people you will be targeting will be the right people, right?
Right.
Let's say you are a graphic designer and you're creating content on finance. You will obviously attract the audience or maybe the HRs or the companies who are
Hmm.
from finance industry, right? Why? Because you are writing the content about finance.
Correct.
So you have to be cautious about what is your objective.
Hmm.
So that one question should always be there in your mind, that what is your objective out of that social media platform? What is it that you want to get from that social media platform, right? So when you keep that in mind, when you keep that objective in mind, then everything will fall into place. You have to plan your projections, you have to plan your content strategy as well from that particular perspective, and then ultimately you will attract the right audience. Slowly it will not just be done within just a couple of months, it's going to take time, maybe a month or 3 months or maybe 6 months as well,
Hmm.
but it will ultimately build your rapport and it will ultimately build that pipeline for you.
Correct.
So the
So,
keeping that objective in mind is the first thing and the foremost thing that should be taken into consideration, and then start building content into your own niche that you want to target.
hmm.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned about content creation, but what if I don't want to create content?
Mm-hmm. If you don't want to create content, then I think you should look for companies who are already creating content or maybe HRs who are already creating content, and then you should start engaging on their content, because
Okay.
ultimately you want to increase your visibility, right? If not by being an active content creator, then you have to consume the content and then comment on those particular posts. That's how, because if you, let's say for an example, you want to target a company, let's say you want to target Google and you
Hmm.
want to be a financial analyst there. So if someone in Google, let's say an HR in Google is creating content on LinkedIn or maybe Instagram, then you have to make sure you're following them, send them a connect request, and then you have to actively comment on their posts. Why? Because then obviously they would notice that this Rohit is there, who is consistently, I have seen that he's consistently commenting on my posts, and not just that, ki, oh, very good, thank you for sharing and all that. It should be a valuable content, at least of 4 5 sentences, because then that person will also think ki, ha, he's investing his time, and whatever he has mentioned, it adds value to my own content, right? So you will be noticed. What is the objective that we have? We want to catch the attention of the HR, right?
Correct.
That is the first thing that that a fresher wants to do. So that can only be done if you are providing value to the company, right?
Right.
So on their post as well, you have to provide the value, and if you are able to do that consistently, they will trust me. I have done that. I have received requests from the HR managers and from the other people as well. I mean, they were sending me connect requests. I never did that. So
Yes.
it definitely works. Not just for me, for my clients as well, it has worked.
And definitely, I think it's a great strategy to follow. See, to just put this nothing that Manisha shared in the highlight. First thing, start following the people or start following the company that you want to get visible in, like in terms of. Secondly, जो content वो post कर रहे हैं on that social media platform that you're following, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
जो भी content वो post करें, start consuming that content. Consuming in terms of read that thing that they are posting, that they are sharing. It's not that कोई भी article publish किया and you're just commenting without even reading it. वो है क्या, आखिर post किया गया है. So go through that content, be it a video, be it anything that they're sharing, and then start adding what was your key learning or what's your perspective on that thing, right? Am I correct, Manisha? Definitely,
Definitely.
this will give a boost to your visibility. Like, okay, this Manisha is there, Rohit is there, who are just every single day or every single post they are commenting and they are just investing their time.
And I'll tell you, if you build this habit of reading that long article, you will build a habit to read job description as well. So that is, one hack that you can opt in. So if you will start reading that particular post or that particular article, any which ways it's going to add
Yeah,
leverage, and you will also create a reading habit as well.
correct. You talked about job description. That reminds me of asking the next question that I have.
Sure, definitely
So,
go ahead.
what are the preparations one can do before the job interview,
Mhm.
during the job interview, and after the job interview? Like the three phases. How would you define that?
It entirely depends upon the domain that you want to target, but before that, I would focus on practicing. So let's say why I like taking examples is that with the examples you get to I also
Correct.
get clarity about the role, and the other person will also get to understand.
Yes.
So let's say you are someone who is a software engineer. You have done your BTech and you want to get into, let's say, software developing, right?
Mm.
You want to be a developer. So for that matter, obviously there will be technical round, there will be certain tests that you have to appear for, maybe aptitude test as well, and then several rounds of interviews that you have to go for.
Mm.
So pehle, if it is better for you to have the clarity with the HR that how many rounds of interview will be there and what will be those rounds of interviews, so that you know beforehand ki what is the list that I have to prepare for,
Correct.
right? So that is the one thing that you have to do when your first interview is there, and before interview make sure your pitch is right, and you're practicing in front of a mirror, because that will give you so much confidence. You will be a confident speaker and
Mm.
a good communicator, right? And if you can do that, you will be able to make sure that the message is reaching to the HR. It is reaching to the HR in the right way,
Mm.
right? And then once you have the whole roadmap of what interview rounds will be there, you can ultimately start practicing one by one, right? So ये steps ही हैं that I would recommend to follow. And then once you're done with all the interview rounds of interview, all the rounds of interview, then obviously there are other elements as well that you have to take into consideration. Follow up with the HR, and maybe get to know more about the salary and the onboarding part. So this should be done in a very strategic way, is what I would say, right? So before what you have to do, and then during the process what you have to do, and after what you are supposed to do. That's what, yeah.
I think that's really helpful. I think the main thing that matters in the all the three process is your research that you have done before appearing for the job interview.
Definitely. If let's say if you are appearing for a company and you want to target the company and want the company to pay you, let's say 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs, let's say 5 lakhs, right? And the company is इतना budget ही नहीं है company के पास. Company is not having the budget to pay you that amount. Then obviously you're wasting your time.
Hmm.
So to do that research beforehand is extremely important for a
Correct,
candidate.
correct. And I think there are so many platforms out there who can tell you how much the company pays for that specific role that you are appearing for. And
You
even
can
sometimes,
you can
even
easily find that information on Google also.
hmm, Glassdoor is there, I think, right?
Correct.
Glassdoor,
Glassdoor, Indeed, yes, you can leverage these
and
platforms.
even sometimes on LinkedIn job description also they mention that this is the package that we are looking for that
Correct,
specific
correct.
experience of person.
If it is not mentioned, you can ask the HR as well.
Hmm. Correct. Right. Yes, definitely. So, Manisha, what's that one thing that companies most commonly look for, or I'll say the HR looks for in a candidate, or one or maybe three skills, top skills, I'll say.
Okay, perfect. So first and the foremost is the character,
Hmm.
right? The reason I talked about hobbies, the reason I talked about habits and what a candidate actually does in a day is because uh, if I'm hiring a candidate, I can definitely hire a candidate who is not having, much skills because I can teach him the skills,
Hmm.
right? But character is something that he will be inculcating within himself through his own practices.
Correct.
I will not be doing that, right? So that he has to, if the character is something that should be in line with the company's values. So he
Hmm.
has to redefine his character if needed and make sure that his foundation and the ground is, right. Because then if there is something which is not in line with his principles when he's working in a corporate, he will be able to take a stand for that, right?
Correct.
If there is a manager who is handling a team and I want to hire that manager in my company, right? So I have to see if the character that the manager has is in line with my company's values. Let's say my company wants to make an impact in the world and help the people to grow financially and help underprivileged people. However, the manager that I'm targeting, he has very selfish approach towards I'm just taking an example.
Hmm.
He is having a very selfish approach towards his mindset is very different from the company.
Yes.
So companies values, and now it is very coming into the picture. Why?
Hmm.
Because value system, character, habits, these are intangible things. We cannot measure it, right? But if you would ask me, most of the top 500 Fortune 500 companies, most of the big financial services firms, these are the things that they take into picture first, and then they go into the next round of interview, which is
Correct.
technical round, or maybe that hardware part that they basically hard skills that they are looking for. Second, most important thing is the candidate's what is the goal that he has, what is he looking for in his life, what is life for him, what is the vision that the candidate has, right? So let's say I am interviewing a candidate and he tells me that I just want to come into your company for 1 or 2 years and then I want to start my business. Why
Hmm.
in the world will I waste my energy on that candidate, right? I will
Correct.
never ever do that. So, having the clarity beforehand and understanding the company's visions and then aligning your vision with the company, it will help you a lot to stick with that organization and you will feel like home. There are some companies in which a candidate would feel that, they would feel that I want to find a moment wherein I just want to get out of the company, right? So, that should not be the point because then you will not be happy, right? For you to sustain in your career and to make a career, not a job, to make a career, first of all you should feel and you should have that hunger inside you that you really want to learn, not
Correct.
just for yourself. You want to grow the company as well. It should not be just about you. You have to think beyond you as well, right? So if we are able to inculcate all that in, if you are able to have that mindset that company के बारे में सोचना है. I don't have to think just about myself materialistically, but for the company to grow, because if company is growing, I will be able to grow. If I am able to make sure that my character is strong and firm and I have a great foundation, I will be able to hold the team in a best possible manner. And if I am able to hold the team, the people will be feeling better, my team will be feeling better, then the company will perform better. So ये सारी बहुत intangible चीजें होती हैं, but they are extremely important for an organization to grow and for a candidate to grow as well.
I think main thing that you mentioned was clarity of the goal that the candidate wants to accomplish.
Definitely.
It's not, it should not be self-centric. It should be
Correct.
about the company as well.
Correct. Because ultimately, if they will grow, they will see that you have, contributed and helped the company to grow. Ultimately, it's your growth as well. So it's a win-win situation
Yes.
to think
It
beyond
has to
you.
be all the time.
Correct. Absolutely.
If you're focusing on yourself and you're not thinking about the other people in the team or the company will say tata bye bye.
Definitely.
Right. So, Manisha, next thing is, when should a person quit from a company? And why do people leave a company? Is it just the salary, or is it the environment? Is it the growth? Or what do you think in your experience? Why do people leave companies, and at what stage should a person leave? That he or she should leave the company in that stage.
I have a very catchy statement for this, which I have discovered myself a few years back. So, if in a company, there are two things, right? It is not just about money, there are two factors that are involved. If in a company you are able to earn and you are happy with that amount, and if in a company you are able to learn, right? So these are the two things that a candidate will always take into picture, and they should take into picture, because if you are just learning and you feel that whatever value you are putting in the organization, you are not earning to the part, ultimately it will add up to the negativity and you will not feel happy. So these are two things that I personally feel that candidate and an employee takes into consideration. You should either learn or earn from a company. If you are in the beginning stage, obviously you should not think about earning a lot in at least for first 1 or 2 years, because there is a lot of learning that has to take in that has to take place for you to grow. And if you are able to do that and just focus on the learning part, you will grow much faster in the longer run after those 1 or 2 years, right? So most of the employees that are there in the world, and I did actually poll on this as well. So they said that either I should be learning if I'm at the initial stage, and not just initial stage. Obviously, learning is always there. We are lifelong learners in this world. But for an employee to leave the company, these two factors are there. I should either earn or learn. If and an employee should always leave the company if he feels that I am neither learning nor earning.
Okay.
So तब तक कोई सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता है, right? I mean, you're wasting your time actually while being in that organization. So these are two things. I mean, earn and learn. If you feel that you're not earning and you're not learning from that organization now, whatever learning was there, you have already been through that, and you feel that you are at a point where you feel stagnant and आगे कुछ growth नहीं दिख रही है, then you should definitely switch.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think that word that you said, it's a catchy statement. Learning and earning both.
Correct.
Got it.
So it's like, when should you quit? If you're not learning and not earning, then you should leave the company. Definitely, it's high time for you to switch.
Right. If you're not seeing the growth opportunities in the existing company, then obviously there is a hard time that you should leave and be at a better place.
Because होता क्या है, after a point, a candidate, an employee goes into that comfort zone कि ठीक है, मतलब it's fine, however it's working good. In fact, there was one of my friend who was working in a company. He worked there for 6 years, and whatever he learned in 6 years, he learned that in 3 years only. So technically, after 3 years, he should have changed the company and switched. However, he didn't do that. Why? Because he was in a comfort zone, and then he switched the company, and then he was able to get a good hike as well. So if you feel at a point that कि stagnancy आ रहा है, you're not able to learn and earn, then you should definitely, get out of the comfort zone and switch the career, switch the company.
I think that comfort zone for so many candidates out there is is a very difficult step to
Correct.
move out of,
Correct.
I think.
Correct. Because initially during the college days we are in our honeymoon phase. I mean, I call it honeymoon phase because we just want to enjoy life and interact with people, have good opportunities and all that. But if you would ask me if I mean, my algorithm for Instagram is set in a way that I only see what I want to see, right? That's how, I mean, the social network, that movie will teach you that. Now I've seen there are people who are just 19, 20, 21 years old and they are doing great job
Correct.
on these social media platforms. So the world is evolving, and I mean, it gives me immense joy to see that not just the foreign countries, India also is, reaching to the level wherein people are getting much aware, at very early stages. When I was 18 years old, I was not even having a damn clue कि मुझे करना क्या है life में,
Correct.
right? I had no clue what I want to do with my life. So that's something that gives me immense joy to see these youngsters and see them grow, create content and talk, be a confident speaker. So India is evolving, and definitely there is a brighter future for us all.
100%, 100%. I'll say, if you talk about that, we being at 18 years of stage, maybe I can say that there was a lack of clarity कि यार कोई coach भी होता है whom we can take help from.
Correct.
This is where people like you comes into picture कि who are able, who are there to help people if
So much.
they can give the right guidance to the people as how they can prepare themselves for their career, how and what are the things that they can learn, they can prepare so that they can have a career that they want to have. It should not
And
be मैंने
definitely,
देखा किसी को and I want to do that.
no, that should not be there because that will not stick for a longer period of time. And now the technology, I mean, the Web3 thing,
Hmm.
all these things are evolving in the manner. I mean, if you would ask 10 years before, it not. I mean, technology was not that advanced, right?
Hmm.
Now it is growing at such a rate that if you are not utilizing that, that means you are making a mistake, right?
And
So
right,
that's something that we should think about from the different horizon as well.
and due to the rise in the internet scope, I'll say the career is not just uh, up to the level कि आपको job ही करना है. There are so many things out there that you
Opportunities.
do this social media thing. There are people who are like 12 years of age and they are doing all great things, right?
That is, yes, that is why I mentioned that HRs are applying creative hiring techniques,
Hmm.
right? Because now candidates have so many opportunities. It is
Hmm.
not necessary that you have to go in a corporate. You can work for a marketing agency as well. You can work for a ad agency as well, right? While
Hmm.
being at the comfort zone of your home, right? So that is why competition दोनों side से बढ़ रहा है. It is
हाँ,
not just increasing from an HR's perspective, HR side. Now the candidates are also getting to know a lot,
correct.
and those who are not adapting the technology and they are lagging behind, I think it's high time for them to uh, get that start and kickstart their career and journey. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So, coming to the next question is you're mastered at negotiation of a negotiation. So, any specific strategy that you will say or recommend people which they can follow while doing their offer negotiation?
So, like I mentioned in one, I don't remember the question, but like I mentioned that if a company has that budget to offer you,
Hmm.
only then you will be able to get that budget, right? If the company cannot offer you more than 5 lakhs and you're expecting 6 lakhs, obviously you're wasting your time. So, salary negotiation tag that I would like to mention here is that get that research done beforehand, because if you will have the evidence, you will know that this is something that the company is offering and this is the company's financial statement. So if you would know that beforehand, you will not even apply for that company because you have set a benchmark of 6 lakhs,
Correct.
right? So that is something that candidates should do and must do before appearing for any interview. I mean, I would say don't even appear for first round of interview. Do the research even before wasting another day. So do the research, collect the evidence, have the evidence at place, and then start appearing for the interviews and target companies that you would feel that will align with your goals, align with your vision, plus can offer you a better package as well.
Correct. And that also adds up to how much self-aware you are.
Absolutely.
Because there was this friend of mine who reached out to me recently and he said, यार कोई भी कंपनी मेरे को 7 लाख का पैकेज दे ही नहीं रही. एंड आई एम लाइक कि हाउ मच एक्सपीरियंस यू आर, एंड मैं फ्रेशर हूँ. मैंने कहा अच्छा ओके. मैंने कहा तू टारगेट कहाँ कर रहा है? तो मैं कंपनी में अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, सिंपली कोई दे नहीं रही मेरे को पैकेज. सी, इट्स नॉट अबाउट कि आपको 7 लाख का पैकेज चाहिए एंड यू वॉन्ट गेट दैट. इफ यू हैव दैट स्किल सेट, if you have that mindset, if you have that values that align to the organization that you are applying for, it's not just about 7 lakh. You can get 10 lakhs of package as well, but that totally depends upon you ki how much skill set you are, how much confidence you are on the particular skills that you are having.
Correct.
And obviously, as you said, having that clarity needs to be there, having that research needs to be there. अगर हमने वही नहीं किया, कंपनी का I'll say कंपनी का बजट है 5 लाख and you are asking for 10 lakhs, कंपनी will say भाई
Correct. गलत हो गया. Yeah, that has to be done. I mean, that is the first thing that everyone should do before appearing for even first round of interview. That is extremely important. बहुत ज़रूरी है ये. So that you don't waste any time in appearing for the interview, right? Because अगर आप interview के लिए जा रहे हो, obviously you would prepare for it. And just appearing for the interview for practice is a different thing. But I mean, doing that research is a must. Something that should be taken care of beforehand.
And I think research skill is the one skill that everyone should have right now in this time specifically. It's not just about the company. If you know how to research about a specific thing or particular thing well, you can go dig deep into any topic that is given to you. Be it tech thing, be it any soft skill, be it any specific that to you, you can just go deep into it.
Yeah, I think if you would talk about कि अगर Google पे search करना है, right? So there are also, I mean, searching on Google is also an art, I would say.
Obviously,
you will not, right? So if you're searching some keyword on Google and maybe searching some topic on keyword, on Google, that is also an art. Not everyone will be able to find those answers. And I mean, if I would, think, take a flashback and go back into, let's say, 6 or 7 years from now, I can think कि मैं Google पे search करती थी and I was not able to get the proper answers. And now within just one click I can, because that is also an art.
Correct.
Googling Google is also an art, I would say. So क्या search करना है is also something that, that is a leverage, I would say. And that is an art one master over the time.
That comes after a long
Definitely.
time.
Definitely.
And everything is learnable. There's nothing that
Absolutely.
People are born genius. Everyone is born genius. It's just that the skill that you master, you become genius at it.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of time and practice. That's it.
Okay. So last question, Maneesha, to you. What's that one piece of advice that you will give to the listener who is listening to this podcast, who is watching this?
One piece of advice will be, I think it will again be authentic. Because if you're authentic, you will be able to do justice to your own self. If, let's say, you're someone who wants to do a lot in the career, wants to do a lot in XYZ field, right? And if you are having the clarity as to why you want to do it, then you will be able to reach there much faster. Because there are very bright chances that you may not want to do it. Why? Because someone else told you to do this, right? So let's say if you want to become an IAS officer, why? Because your parents told you to do that. So somehow, if you don't want to do it, there will be a disconnect. And if you're being authentic to yourself, then every single thing, whether that's profile optimization, commenting on a post, or maybe some other criterias, right? Being yourself, having that body language, accepting yourself the way you are and then improving yourself, right?
Correct.
अगर हमें किसी चीज़ पे काम करना है, पहले हमें पता चलना चाहिए कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है, राइट?
Correct.
अगर प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं, देन ओनली वी विल बी एबल टू प्रोवाइड द सोल्यूशन, राइट? लेट्स से, फॉर एन एग्जांपल, लेट्स से if I would not know that I am procrastinating, I will not be able to improve that particular negative habit,
Hmm.
right? Because I will not accept that I am procrastinating. And
Correct.
for that, first thing is to accept yourself the way you are, because once you accept, then only you will be able to improve. Acceptance has to be there, and then the improvement will come into picture. So for that matter, you have to be authentic, right? So that is one thing that I would, recommend to all the listeners who are listening to this podcast. Be authentic, just be you, and then trust me, the magic will start to unfold.
Amazing, Manisha. Amazing. Being authentic is the key, I think.
Yes,
Thank
definitely,
you
it is the
so much,
key.
Manisha, for sharing this piece of advice. And I believe that the one who's listening to this podcast is definitely going to be themselves, not try to be someone else. And also, Manisha, as you mentioned, being authentic is the key. I
Mhm.
personally, I'm adding to it from my side that if you just be authentic to yourself, if you just try to be yourself, if not, you will explore at the thing that you want to explore just because of your parents said that, or your friends said that, or if your any of your family members said that. You might not explore at that thing, but if you just be yourself, you will explore at something, and that will give you a lot of fortune in your career, in your life.
Correct, correct. See, and also talking it, I mean, adding one more point here. If a parent is asking you to do something, it's not that they don't want you to win. They are always your well-wishers, right?
Correct.
And let's say if you I mean, if your parents want you to be an IAS officer, for an example, or maybe a chartered accountant. Let's take an example of a chartered accountant. Let's say your parents want you to be a chartered accountant. However, you want to be a graphic designer, right?
Hmm.
They always want you to win. It's just that they don't see a scope in graphic designing. And
Correct.
if you will be able to show them through your work, and if you will be able to monetize that particular skill, they will have a different mindset. Why? Because they are coming from a generation which is 30 to 40 years,
Correct.
30 25 years back, right? The older generation. So उनका completely different perspective इसलिए है because they have not seen the world the way you see it.
Hmm.
So they are not wrong on their part. If they are asking you to do a particular degree or a skill set, if you don't have clarity, then you would obviously opt for it because you don't know what you want to do, right? But
Correct.
if you know what you want to do, and you are just arguing with your parents because you want to do it and your parents are not letting you do it. Why? Because they don't see an opportunity in
Hmm.
it, right? But if you see and if you are able to monetize that, they will start to believe in you, and they will change their perspectives with time. Why I wanted to focus this parents wala thing is because I've seen many people saying कि मेरे parents पे trust नहीं करते, they don't want me to do this, they want me to do something else. Why? Because it's not that they are wrong or not your well wishers, it's just that they are not having the exposure to that particular domain, right? So अगर पैसा आएगा, obviously they would see कि हाँ इसमें भी potential है, right? Ultimately they want you to win. By being a CA or graphic designer, it really doesn't matter.
Correct.
So that is something that we should focus on. I mean, this particular thing is what we should focus on, so that we can be in line and with peace with our parents and family as well.
And I'm in 100% agreement with whatever that you said. If you are trying to move on a different path, which is
Correct.
different from all the crowd that's doing, and if there is uh, some of your family members against it, then if you're able to showcase them, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is what it's giving me in results.
Correct.
And every parents out there wants their kids to be happy, they should be satisfied, and obviously they should be having a career into that. And if you can showcase that thing, I think there's nothing much better can that could be.
Ultimately, it's the results that they care about, right? So if you are happy, you're successful, and if the results are there, they will be happy with whatever you're
Whatever
doing
that
with
you're
your life.
doing. Correct. Thank you so much, Manisha, for being on the show and sharing all your amazing insights, and I'm definitely sure that what whoever is listening to this podcast or is watching this video on YouTube has learned a lot, and definitely they'll be whatever that you have mentioned, and obviously they'll be the authentic self that they are. Thank you so much, Manisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rohit, for having me. It was an honor and pleasure to be here and share some tips and bits. I hope listeners will be able to get some insights and not just listen. They will be implementing these techniques so that they can scale their career. And yeah, I'm looking forward to serve you and the others in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Manisha. And Manisha, one last thing that I want to ask.
Yeah.
There is someone who wants to connect with you. What all platforms they can connect with you and how they can reach out to you?
So I will do one thing. I'll share my social media handles. I also create content on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And I also have an email ID to which people can connect with me. So I'll share all the details with you, and you can post it in the description box.
Okay, thank you so much, Manisha.
And
Okay, listeners, I'll put all the links to Manisha's social media on the
thank
description
you
of
so
this
much.
podcast. You can reach out to Manisha whenever you want. And also, just to let you know, Manisha hosts webinars frequently. So if you want to become a part of those amazing value-packed webinars, I'll put a link to that also in the description box. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much, Manisha, once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.